sign of Capricorn is represented by the sea goat, or in some interpretations, it's just a goat. Capricorn is ruled by the planet Saturn, and Saturn represents restriction, limits, shame, slow progress, achievements, and what you're actually qualified to be or do. So, like, you might have ideals and goals of what you want or who you'd like to become, but Saturn is what you're actually capable of without any frills. Capricorn is also exalted in Mars. Exaltations are basically sugar highs. That's how I think of them. Exalted planets are like, for example, let's say you finally got to go somewhere that you've always wanted to go, and you're pumped up and you're full of energy and like you're present in the moment. It's what you've always wanted. So it's your first option. It's your first pick. Mars being exalted in the sign of Capricorn is basically using Capricorn energy to its highest potential. Mars also represents how you get motivated and the actual process that you go through to get what you want. It represents your competitors, your fighting style, how and where you're likely to get injured on your body, or in what locations you would be in where you get injured in a fight. And it represents the level of anger, motivation, or passion that you're capable of reaching. Mars is basically how your dopamine system works. The planet Jupiter is debilitated in Capricorn. It hates being there. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, higher knowledge, and it becomes heavy and miserable when it's in Capricorn. It can't see over the horizon like it used to. And when Jupiter enters Capricorn, there's usually some kind of big social restriction that goes on. So you can think about how in the years 2008 and 2020, America entered a recession, and it was like clockwork. That was because Jupiter enters the same sign about once every 12 years, and Jupiter had entered Capricorn during those years. So when Jupiter is in Capricorn and it can't see over the horizon and it can't find some kind of higher meaning in its struggles, Jupiter just kind of like white knuckles things, and it thinks that the only way that you can get to the top of the mountain and finally overcome your obstacles is through sheer grit and hard work without any like spiritual intervention. So when Jupiter is in Capricorn, spiritual intervention is directly manifested as it has to be physical or it's not going to be believed or taken seriously. All these descriptions are basically to give you a better idea of what Capricorn energy is and where it functions at its highest and weakest potentials, so that you get a better understanding of what I'm about to tell you. Capricorn is the 10th sign of the zodiac. It comes after Sagittarius, which is the 9th, and it comes before Aquarius, which is the 11th. It originally rules the 10th house of reputation, authority, career, image, and all things that are seen as status symbols in our society. The color associated with Capricorn is black, and anatomically, Capricorn is associated with the bones of the body, your skeletal system, and more specifically, it's associated with your kneecaps and your knees. So think of what knees represent. Knees are carrying the weight of your upper body. They have to be strong. You have thick cartilage in your knees. And once your knees give out and you get arthritis, it's usually very painful and aggravating, and it's chronic. So I hope you're getting a better idea of what Capricorn energy is and how it works. In tarot cards, Capricorn is represented by the Devil tarot card. If you can Google a picture of it, or you can just look at your own tarot deck, the Devil card is a big hairy beast, and in each of its hands is a chain, and each of those chains are tied to a woman and a man. A woman and a man who have been controlled by desires and sin and shame, and until they can finally quell that urge, and they can, until they're capable of no longer acting like demons, then they're going to be controlled by the devil, who makes a contract with them to tie them into their lower beastly natures. All right, so look at your chart and see which planets that you have in Capricorn, because you might not be a Capricorn sun, but you might have other planets in Capricorn. Also, look at your progress chart to see if you have any planets progressing through Capricorn. For example, my natal sun sign is at 29 degrees Sagittarius, and it's been progressing through Capricorn since I was 1 year old. I'm 24 right now, and it's going to be in Capricorn for another 6 or 7 years. I actually have Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Neptune in Capricorn right now, so I'm talking from personal experience as well as data that I've gathered through through observation and research. All right. Let me find my stuff. So now I'm going to be talking, I've given you the rundown of the basic outlines that you need to understand Capricorn energy, and I'm going to be talking about more manifested ways that this energy plays out. So Capricorn is often associated with demonic energy because it's an earth sign, and earth signs easily become demonic because of how heavy they are. A common theme with Capricorns is that we suppress our inner power in an attempt to appease society so that we can go to our jobs and make money, or just overall have a sense of structure in our life, because in many ways we are dependent on the societies that we live on, and our society is oppressive, just like they are all around the world. That's another story. So you often see Capricorns suppress and shrink themselves in order to appease the systems that they're dependent on, so that we can provide for our families or not intimidate people that we care about. Because naturally Capricorn energy is intimidating, just flat out, it's intimidating. And so what happens to that side of yourself when it realizes that it's been scapegoated and neglected? Anything that you repress, anything that you have shunned about yourself, it doesn't disappear. What happens is that it goes into your subconscious and it controls your mind, and it festers. And sometimes it's channeled through pure psychological, just volatile power that you can't control because you haven't integrated it into your personality yet. So the way that this usually manifests in Capricorns is heavy depression, heavy demonization. Capricorn is the devil. It becomes more greedy, more hateful, more manipulative than it naturally is. So when a Capricorn finally is able to reclaim their full energy, we no longer have so much difficulty scaling these infamous mountains that we're always climbing. Capricorns who have self-actualized and reintegrated what they've once banished as demonic about themselves, these are the most powerful ones. I mean, we're all powerful, but these are the ones who have the most power readily available to them at their command. So we can find that we can get to the top and we feel our power coursing through us, and we don't compromise it for anyone. And Capricorns need to learn that if we stop repressing ourselves, then it's not going to make us evil or demonic. The only people that are going to try to scapegoat us are the people who are secretly competing with us. Because, keep in mind, Mars is exalted in Capricorn. Mars represents competitors. It represents your primal fight response, the things that make you triggered. Saturn represents restriction as well, which I've mentioned. And Capricorns often hide themselves out of fear of having their power snatched from them. Capricorns can be hoarders. Capricorns can cling to the past and to their former glory because they're too scared of letting that go and accepting their status as of now if they are attached to what has been or what has already come to pass. So you see a lot of Capricorns who are very set in their ways. They're very stale. They're very, very dry, boring. They're the ones who believe that their prime or their peak strength, they think it's already passed. They think it's gone. So they don't want to be in the present moment because it's just going to remind them of how they think they're weak now. Remember, a lot of this stuff is psychological. All right. It's not objective reality. I'm giving you insights into the Capricorn psychology as well as the actual metaphysics. Capricorns Capricorn has to reclaim their inner authority to be themselves, or else we will constantly attract situations where we are restricted by someone or something else. Because everything around you is a representation of what's going on within you. So if you're attracting like law enforcement left and right, you're attracting partners who are telling you what to do, you're attracting jobs that are shrinking you from your true potential and not paying you enough, it's a reflection of what's going on within you. You're shrinking yourself and you're putting yourself in a cage. So these things are mirroring back to you the cage that you are in because you have given your authority over yourself away to some kind of institution or belief system or partner or something, or you just think that you're not good enough. So in turn, you cut yourself off from your own power and you don't have direct access to it anymore because you think that you don't even have it. Also, Capricorns can be very shy, and they can be shy for seemingly no reason if they are heavily spiritually trapped. You may say one word to them or give them a look or something, and it's enough to make them shut down on you for good, especially if you invoke fear in them in some way. You may not even know what you did, and the Capricorn suddenly is shy and withdrawn. They're hunching their shoulders. They're not looking at you. They're not talking to you. It's because something in that interaction is triggering fear in them for whatever reason. I'll be getting into more of these in a minute. Capricorn also often keeps their real thoughts and desires to themselves because we don't want to be rushed or provoked by your reaction or response. And the key word here is provoked. Provoked is associated with the sign of Mars. Capricorns like being methodical and strategic about things. We don't like sudden chaos or something throwing our plans off course, because this is a very planned and controlling sign. It's cardinal after all. Cardinal energy takes action and initiates. It's in control. It's in the lead. So with all that, Capricorn can easily get discouraged if they speak on their desires too soon. So I'm talking about Capricorns in a romantic sense now. A Capricorn may have a massive crush on you, or they just might respect you immensely. But if they fear rejection, then they're going to keep it all to themselves for years, decades, or maybe their entire life, if they feel like you're going to blow them off. And they're not going to approach you until they think that they've accomplished enough or that they're powerful enough to finally be worthy of breaking bread with you, because they don't want to be rejected. Capricorns take rejection personally. Capricorns who aren't aware of themselves take rejection personally because they have also rejected themselves. And usually the parts of themselves that a Capricorn has rejected are often some of the most sensitive and needy parts of themselves. So, of course, if you reject them, it is going to remind them of their suppressed needs. And of course, you can imagine it's going to be a very painful kind of experience to have. But don't think that Capricorns watch you. They are cool, they're slow, and they're almost silent. They have an invisible kind of presence that's looming. It's increasingly heavier and heavier the more they close in on you. So Capricorns actually rarely get into fights because their opponents or the objects of their affection usually run away way before the Capricorn even arrives. They just sense them coming, and they know that they can't outweigh them. And Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, which is a sign of gravity and karma. You'll feel it when a Capricorn is coming for you. You may not know it's them, but something in the air is going to feel different. Something in your physiological response is going to feel different. You're going to know something's up. Capricorns will sometimes hide their own power as well because it intimidates them. So if you try to gas up a Capricorn or encourage them or be some kind of positive force in their life, they may just distance themselves from you because they aren't ready for that yet. Capricorns often grew up in a situation, or they've been in a lot of situations, where they had no legitimate or credible support. So they develop this belief that they have to do everything alone, or they just have to use people to meet their own goals. Each zodiac sign has a word that they use. Capricorns is I use. Capricorn is a sign associated with things being useful or useless. This is heavy informational, right? Showing a Capricorn kindness often triggers a lot of uncomfortable thoughts because it makes them think about how they're used to using people. And after a while, using people just becomes an innate heuristic that it's just something that you just learn to do. So yeah, Capricorns are used to using people, and it can take time for them to reconcile this in their own mind and decide not to use you if they realize that you actually have good intentions for them and you're not out to get them. Because again, Mars is exalted in Capricorn, and Mars is about your enemies. Capricorns are used to having enemies. So you can imagine that after a while of always being around people who are secretly competing with you or overtly competing with you, that you would just develop this innate mindset of like, all right, I'm just going to go cold. I'm going to use people. I'm going to use people for my own means, and I'm going to accomplish my goals. Capricorns can be very Machiavellian in this sense. So if they realize that you're actually a genuine person and therefore they can't use you like a pawn or an employee, then they're going to need time to find out how to structure you into their lives. So if they're being distant from you, don't take it personally. Capricorn is similar to the Martian signs of Aries and Scorpio in the sense that they're going to test you to see if you're the type to crumble easily. Like an Aries will ram into you and they'll kind of be all up in your face to see if you're going to like reject them. A Scorpio's just going to sting you, and they're probably going to poison you on some level to see if you're capable of healing yourself and transforming out of it. Because a Scorpio doesn't want to be around somebody who lays over and dies, because the Scorpios go through a lot of transformations in their life anyway. So if you can't keep up with it, then you're going to get hurt as collateral damage, and they need to know if you're going to right off the bat. A Capricorn, on the other hand, will put pressure on you. They want to see how heavy they can be around you before you break. For a Capricorn to feel secure around you, they have to know that if they unleash the heaviness of their energy around you, that it won't even kill you to be in the vicinity. A Capricorn's worst fear is someone falling through on them when they're reliant on them. This is even worse than their fear of failing others. Emotionally underdeveloped Capricorns, or Capricorns that are just traumatized, are blatantly selfish, and they will go through tons of people and use them for their own means and then discard them when they've sucked them dry. Again, this is Earth. Capricorn is the driest sign of the zodiac. It's associated with your bones too. Capricorns with a developed conscience, on the other hand, often want to make sure there's mutual strength in the bond so that they can support and provide for you in exchange for you doing it for them. This is a sign that rules over business, and how you do business is directly linked to your reputation, which is directly linked to your money inflow. Doing business is a two-way street, and Capricorns who still have their dignity intact and they're not controlled by trauma, they care about all these things because they know the definition of the word collateral damage. If they fuck up or let their name get tarnished, then they know that it not only results in them dropping the ball on themselves, but it might put their families and loved ones in danger as well. And if Capricorns have people who are relying on them for security, then they are the ones who are very serious about that reputation. So now getting into the emotional nature of Capricorns. A Capricorn is almost always going to hide their real emotions from you, and they can be similar to the signs that are sandwiching them, Sagittarius and Aquarius. Sagittarius and Aquarius are usually two signs that don't want to deal with the emotions and the gushy shit, all right? For different reasons though. So Capricorn can be similar to these two signs in the way that they don't even want to talk about emotions and love and shit with you, because a Capricorn's personal emotions are different. Capricorns have heavy emotions. They are intense. They are suffocating. They are stressful. And so Hold on a minute. So you have Cancers. Cancer is the opposite sign of Capricorn. Cancer rules the 4th house. Cancer is a water sign. It's associated with your mother, your deepest emotions, your past, babies, things that are very vulnerable. So you have Cancers running around and crying and smothering people and drowning people with their water energy. And that scares the fuck out of a Capricorn, because Capricorn knows that if they were to do that and they just were ruled by the sheer contents of their emotions, it would kill people. It would literally kill you. Capricorn harbors a lot of pain and rage and historical pain at that. So if a Capricorn opens up to you emotionally, they're basically telling you that, 1, they don't care if they kill you with it, or 2, they assessed you and they know that you're qualified enough to handle them, which is an honor because it speaks on your own level of capability. And Capricorn respects people who are capable and people who are able to handle heavy situations. So consider the axis of Capricorn and Cancer and the emotional nature of Capricorns. And so it's going to make sense why a Capricorn will be the first one to tell you to mind your business. Like literally mind your business. Because they know if you fuck with someone and you get in their business and you aren't actually ready to handle the repercussions of that, then it can be lights out for you. Because you don't know what kind of energy someone's working with emotionally. And metaphysically, emotions are very powerful things. Emotions are like fuel. So, due to the secretive and protective nature of Capricorn, it's implicitly but also directly related to the public eye as well. So if a Capricorn ever takes you in public with them, or they're proud to be out with you, then it's a reflection of how much they trust you with their life. On the other hand, when I'm talking about Capricorns who aren't aware of their own power yet, or Capricorns who have suppressed themselves, or Capricorns with bad self-esteem, sometimes a Capricorn is thinking so low of themselves in general that they're going to aim way below their true capacity when choosing partners or associates or friends. And so when it comes to relationships, they're going to get with partners only who they know are easy to control and dominate. And these partners are not equipped to handle the weight of the Capricorn. And so the Capricorn's going to be in this relationship, and yeah, sure, they're going to take you out in public with them. But if you were a bystander watching this couple, you'd see the way the Capricorn keeps this person on an invisible bind, and they repress that partner from really expressing themselves. And you'd probably easily be able to see the bottled up rage and the general discomfort in the Capricorn due to the fact that they even have to do this. And you'll see pictures of this couple online, and you'll be able to see it. The fake smiles and the death grip that the Capricorn has on their partner, or the way that a partner will tend to cling to the Capricorn. You'll see it in their body language. And when a relationship has run its course with a Capricorn, you're going to know when a Capricorn's about to be done with you and they're going to take your power back, because they're not going to restrict you anymore. They're going to restrict themselves from you and start withholding from you. The key word here is withholding, because keep in mind that Saturn rules the sign of Capricorn, and Saturn is a sign that restricts and withholds things from you because you're not ready for it. And they'll slowly stop paying for you. They'll stop giving you affection. They'll emotionally stonewall you too. And Capricorns are famous for this. And ultimately, they'll turn hard and as penetrable as stone, and you're going to be dealing with a giant rock. And they're not going to give you any emotion or any embrace. And you might even leave them before they officially cut ties with you, because you're going to be bored out of your mind with them. And you can't make them open up anymore because they're so heavily restricted. And they're kind of similar to Cancers in this way too. Like when a Cancer is uncomfortable with you, they'll clam up on you like a clam. And you won't be able to open them back up. Capricorns, they turn dry. They turn hard, and you don't get any love out of them anymore. In general, Capricorns are notorious for suffering in silence if they don't fuck with you like that. So a Capricorn could be laying in a ditch. They could be laying in a ditch, nearly dead, and they'll have their phone in their hand and everything, and they still won't call you for help because they're not going to give you the satisfaction of saving them. They're going to die, and they're going to let God save them when they fly up to heaven because they don't want you to win. Because Capricorns understand the meaning of what favors are. It's leverage. Capricorn is a sign that deals with power struggles and power dynamics. Scorpio does this as well. This is why these two signs are sextile. In other words, I think they're not sister signs. They're like cousins. They understand each other, even though they're not cut from the same cloth. Yeah. So yeah, a Capricorn would literally die of thirst instead of ask you to get up and get them a water bottle if they're mad at you. Capricorns can be very stubborn. Yeah, with all that being said, I'm not going to draw it out. Damn, 26 minutes. It's good information.